Did you ever wonder if there was something more? Do you remember your dreams from childhood? Like most of us, were your dreams crushed with a reality that didn't match the magic and wonder of childhood? Or did you really never experience magic and wonder because of where you were born and what situation you were born into? This podcast is going to explore how our dreams, known or unexplored, are the key to creating a new vision for the world, and how young people today are the key to manifesting it. Hello and welcome to a brand new podcast, Building Dreams for the Future with Youth, where we are going to be celebrating young people around the world and their dreams and how their dreams can create a new thriving world for all of us. My name is Heidi Cuppari, and I'm a futurist, a gamer, an innovator, an entrepreneur, a problem solver, and a systems thinker, and a mom. And I have observed while my children are growing up in my 19 years history in social impact, both in venture work and in investing, I have seen the dreams of youth leap beyond what we are all talking about when we're trying to solve problems in our society. And so in 2016, I decided to do an experiment. And I thought, what if we actually listen to youth's ideas on how to solve the world's problems? And what could we create to do that? So we set out and we created Dream Tank, which is a nonprofit social venture accelerator for youth. And throughout the years that we've been doing that, we saw a big excitement and interest in how we can use gaming and gamification to solve global problems. And so we started experimenting next with, what if we put our whole accelerator and think tank into a game? Yabeke Zike has responded to the call. We posted positions for Brown students to come during their winter break to help us build a part of this game. And each time we do this podcast, we are going to have a driving question. And because it's Martin Luther King week, we have dubbed it. It was Martin Luther King Day. We are kicking off MLK Week, where we celebrate dreams and creating them into reality. And so the quote of the day I want to start with is one of my favorites by Martin Luther King. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. And as MLK is our OG dreamer, he says some very wise things that we can live by. And so without further ado, I'm going to invite Yabeke to answer the first question, which is, what did you want to do when you were 8?
Yeah, first, thank you for having me here. It's been a pleasure. Glad to be here. And I think the one thing I've always wanted to do when I was younger was I wanted to be a doctor, actually. My dad was super into medicine, really into education, and it really just grew on me. And I really wanted to be a doctor and just help people because of him. So yeah, that was my dream when I was 8.
That's beautiful. And so the drive, it sounds like a big driver was helping people. Mm-hmm. So was that a theme that carried through your life? And maybe talk about how that led you to Brown.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, my dad's just always been really selfless and just caring about other people first and putting themselves first. And that trait kind of just passed on to me. And I've always wanted to help people. I'm always there to help people problem solve or figure out their issues and settle disputes between people. So I think that trait that he had kind of just carried over to me. And his interest and love for medicine just grew on me as we would read books together, do homework together. And it would inspire me. And he was the main reason that how I am today and the reason I wanted to be a doctor when I was younger. And yeah, that definitely led me to Brown. He was super education driven, and having him along my side, just always pushing education and making sure it was at the forefront of my priorities at that time. Definitely got me the grades I needed and made me focused on what I needed to do and got me into Brown.
Tell me more about something you did that you're proud of that had to do with helping people that led to maybe even helping you get into Brown that you feel very proud of.
Yeah, one of the biggest things when I was in middle school, we had a community-led project, and every student had to do it. And me and my friend came together, and we actually went to go feed the homeless. So we made about 100 to 150 sandwiches. We put them together, built brown lunch bags, and went just around the city in DC and started handing out bags. And the one thing that I didn't expect to get from the experience was just the communication I had with the people. It was truly just eye-opening to talk to them and talk about their experiences and get to connect with them. And it was more than just handing out food. It was connecting with them and letting them know that they're not alone, sorry, and that they have the support needed there.
Yeah, well, what did that do for you in terms of understanding people, maybe in different situations?
Yeah, so it definitely opened my eyes, as I said, just to new experiences and being able to understand where people come from, and just leaves me appreciating to what I have, being more appreciative, and grateful for the things I have around me, and just being able to actually connect with them and hear their stories was super important, as I learned a lot from them and got a lot of wisdom and just heard about their experiences and gave them the ear, which is always important. It's important to have someone that'll listen to you. So yeah.
So really be heard, people being heard. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And where can you tell us more about, I know your parents or one of your parents was born in Ethiopia. Tell us
Mm-hmm.
more about, when you're telling me about your dad, and I'm thinking about them being, immigrating perhaps.
Yeah.
That is fascinating to me. I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, so both my parents were actually born in Ethiopia. So I have three older brothers, and the first two were actually born there as well. And my parents immigrated here, had my other brother, and then me. But yeah, it's definitely interesting growing up in a immigrant household, as there's a culture shock as well, right? There's the disconnect between the culture here and the culture there, and it's always been I found it very interesting and just always been a really good experience, as I get to experience these two different worlds, right? Because when I'm at home, I get to experience what it's like to be, what it's like back home and get that experience. But I obviously live in the States, so getting that experience as well, it's definitely great. And just having my parents from there definitely made them really hard workers, and coming here, essentially coming up from nothing, has is a trait that definitely is passed on to me, and just being a hard worker and keeping your priorities straight, and keeping a straight head, essentially.
Yeah, that's amazing. The experience of two worlds. I had that a little bit too. My parents, first generation American as well. My
Mm-hmm.
parents were born. My mother was born in Germany, actually in East Prussia in 1939,
Mm-hmm.
which that later became Poland, and was an immigrant at age 5 over to West Germany. And then my father was born in Italy, in Calabria, and grew up on a subsistence farm. So I grew up with two worlds, really, too. I had almost like little Italy with a bunch of immigrants and family that all came over together, but also the American. And I found very grateful for what I had. I think one of the things that many
Mm-hmm.
parents where we are in a privileged set where we have more than a lot of the world are
Yeah.
always trying to impart on our children how lucky they are. And
Yeah.
it doesn't work to just say there are people starving everywhere unless they
Mm-hmm.
actually feel it or see it. And I imagine that you had that humility and gratitude just kind of built in because it was literally in your house,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Would you say?
Yeah, it's definitely made me more grounded and just more grateful for the things that we have here. But it's also just, like I said, it's made me a really hard worker. Just seeing my parents work hard has definitely instilled it in me, and just wanting to do better. Um, and they came here to give their kids a better life. So it's the fact that I have to take advantage of it, and that I'm here for a reason, essentially.
Beautiful. Well, that's perfect for the next question. You're here for a reason. You have a
Hmm.
dream. And we are celebrating MLK this week. And I would like to ask you if you could make an I Have a Dream speech, and you can, because this is a platform for that. What
Hmm.
would be your I Have a Dream speech or declaration?
Yeah. Honestly, I think as of right now, my dream is just for I think people are really powerful when they come together. So I think my dream would just for people to essentially just come together and attack the issues that affect us all, and not really get focused on the differences between us, but focus on the problems that are at hand and that affect all of us. Because I think coming together is one of the biggest powers that we have, and when people come together, we're unstoppable. So I think my dream would just be for everyone to come together um, and yeah, focus on the problems that are at hand and affect us now.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, it seems like you're in the right place then, because being part of Dream Tank and Island 17, that's really our culture, is bringing people
Hmm.
together. And our greatest dream is that young people like you are heard, and that dream is heard. And people who have more divisive natures can put down their walls, can break down their walls, to feel you and see you and others who are
Hmm.
really passionate about making the world better.
Yeah.
Um, that's beautiful. And we really talk about moonshots. Moonshots. What's your wildest, craziest hope that youth could accomplish through a platform, what we're doing here at Dream Tank and Island 17? And maybe you want to talk about that a
Hmm.
little.
Yeah. So I guess my moonshot would be um well as you know, I'm working on the survival game, and I guess my biggest moonshot would that this game actually takes off, and the youth are actually playing it, and using these survival skills that they're learned in the game, and applying it to real life, and hopefully eventually applying them, it's spreading, and them using these skills to essentially achieve the SDGs that the United Nations set out for us. So that would be my moonshot goal for Island 17 and Dream Tank.
I love it. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about the survival game and the overall game, as this is the first introduction our listeners have to this.
Yeah, so on the Wintern sprint, me and a team of Winterns are working on a survival game where essentially we're implementing and trying to gamify the Sustainable Development Goals laid out by the United Nations, applying to survival, being no hunger, zero poverty, good health and well-being, and clean water. So we are essentially gamifying this process by including items in our game where the user can go up to the items, collect them for a survival kit, learn about sustainable ways to achieve these goals, and essentially go through the game, do that, and have items pertaining to each SDG. And then at the end of the game, they'll build their own survival kit. And the hope is eventually that we can send out these survival kits when they finish the game, and hopefully provide clean water and good health and well-being, no poverty, and zero hunger to, all people around the world.
Beautiful. I love it. Okay, well, we're going to break now for a brief commercial about a little bit about what we're doing, and we will be back to conclude. Dream big! Our big, crazy dream is to activate 1 billion kids solving problems in their communities all around the world, connected with each other.
My name is Amalia. I'm 10 years old, and I think we still haven't really discovered what we are capable of, and we could help a lot more people. I think the intelligence of children has given me hope for the world. I think that kids can just figure things out and they do it on the spot.
They pick it up so much quicker than the average adult.
What would you like to say to the adults of the world?
Kids are better thinkers.
Dream big!
Okay, so for our final question and wrap up, I want to ask you, Yabeke, if you had a platform, which you do right now, to speak to anyone in the world that has young people in their life, whether it's a parent, a teacher, an aunt, an uncle, and you know that our programs are not totally available everywhere yet. That's what we're working on, right? And that our programs are an antidote to depression because you can actually create a dream from your passion if you work with us. But in the meantime, what would you say to these people that could help young people in the world right now?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just to listen, right? Take your time and listen to the youth, and because I think the youth have some of the brightest minds. They're the freest thinkers. They're so creative, and I think just allowing them to thrive in their environments is truly the best thing you can do for them, and not set any limitations or pressure or put them in a box. Essentially, let them roam free and explore, and be kids. I think that's super important. Just allowing them to be themselves and figure out who they want to be and try all these different things is really important to a child. So I think just being there to listen and being there as a support system for the youth is the most beneficial thing you can do for them. So yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. And it's like I wanted to add to that, honoring them as a wise being. So when listening, active listening is something where you're listening, really listening, and you're not formulating your response before they're finished, right? You're fully listening. And so try not to push them in any direction, and really honor them as wise when you're listening, and not just say, oh, you're too young, oh, you don't know anything, because they do. Young people do know a lot more than you think. And so let's elevate them to have a seat at the table to co-create with us. And to wrap up, thank you, Yabeke. These are very wise words. To wrap up, we learned that helping people is something that he wanted to do. And I imagine a lot of people listening also had that experience, that your dream is for people to really just come together, lay down their walls and come together and help you and the youth build a thriving future, and listen to the youth. And those are some very wise words. And I think those are an incredible recipe to manifest a thriving future. So thank you, Yabeke, for your time today. And I look forward to seeing this and seeing everyone's reaction. And I'm grateful for you showing up so fully as the team lead, leading your fellow students so gracefully. And you are a gem. And I am so grateful for you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the kind words, Heidi. This was great.
Wonderful. Goodbye, everyone. Have a wonderful day and dream big.